What if I told you that hidden among ordinary pocket change are two coins so ultra-rare, they can fetch not just hundreds or thousands, but even millions of dollars? Today we uncover the top two most valuable UK and US coins ever struck. Stay tuned, you won't believe their history. If I handed you an ordinary 1979 2 pence coin today, you might not think twice about it. To most people it's just a small copper piece from the late 70s, barely worth more than pocket change. But hidden within that year's mintage are coins so rare, so unusual, that they can transform an everyday coin into a treasure worth hundreds, thousands, or even millions of dollars depending on the era and the condition. Collectors call these coins some of the most exciting British decimal errors ever made, and their values continue to shock the numismatic world. The story begins with the introduction of decimal coinage in 1971. Britain had moved away from the old pounds, shillings, and pence system into a much simpler decimal format with 100 new pence in a pound. To help people adjust, the coins were inscribed with the words new pence instead of simply pence. That's why the 2 pence coins of the 1970s, including the 1979 issue, say new pence across the reverse. The majority of these coins were struck in their millions and remain common today, worth no more than their face value. But among the ordinary, there are always a few mistakes, and it is these minting errors that have turned the 1979 2 pence into one of the most desirable sleepers of the decimal era. Imagine holding a coin and seeing the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II slightly doubled, the letters showing a ghostly shadow, or the crown slightly repeated. That's what a double die error looks like, and it's one of the key error varieties that can exist on the 1979 2 pence. These are highly collectible because they are visually striking and rare. Depending on condition, such coins can bring in hundreds to several thousands of dollars at auction. Another type of error found in 1979 is the off-center strike. These coins look like they've been pushed to one side during minting, leaving a large blank crescent where the design should have been. The more dramatic the off-center, the higher the value, with some examples fetching anywhere between $2,000 and $5,000. A broad strike error, where the coin escaped its restraining collar and expanded beyond its normal shape, is another extremely desirable find. These pieces look warped, wider than normal, and are unmistakably unique, which is exactly what collectors crave. The rarest category of all is the wrong planchet error. These occur when a coin's design is struck on a blank intended for a completely different coin. For example, a 1979 2 pence might have been struck on a blank intended for a 1 penny, or even on a foreign planchet. These are one-of-a-kind treasures that can sell for tens of thousands of dollars, sometimes even pushing into the hundreds of thousands if collectors begin competing. In the right market, where scarcity meets passionate demand, a unique example could climb into the millions. Most people are familiar with the famous 1983 new pence error coin where the wrong inscription was used. But the 1979 issue, though less well-known, holds an even greater allure for certain collectors precisely because so few examples of its error coins are known. They are out there, scattered through circulation decades ago, sitting unnoticed in drawers and coin jars, waiting for someone with sharp eyes to recognize them. That's part of the thrill. Anyone could be the lucky finder of one of these ultra-rare pieces. Values for these coins are tied directly to rarity, condition, and collector demand. A minor error might bring $500. A dramatic off-center strike could fetch several thousand. A wrong planchet or a combination of errors could be worth tens of thousands or more. Imagine bidding wars at auction, where two determined collectors push the price of a coin from $50,000 to $100,000 to $500,000. It has happened before with other coins, and the 1979 2 pence has that kind of potential because of its scarcity and mystery. Beyond the money, there's also the history. These coins mark an era of transition in British currency, a time when the public was still adjusting to a new decimal world. Holding a 1979 2 pence coin, especially an error, is like holding a small piece of that history, a reminder of the imperfections of human process even in a modern mint. Each error coin carries its own story, whether it slipped out of the press slightly off-center, doubled in its design, or struck on the wrong metal altogether. So what should you do if you come across a 1979 2 pence coin? Don't dismiss it. Hold it up to the light. Check the portrait for doubling. Look at the lettering for distortions. Examine the edges for signs of broad strikes. Compare the size and weight to a standard coin to detect wrong planchet strikes. Any of these signs could mean the difference between a coin worth 2 pennies and a coin worth $20,000 or more. This is why collectors around the world still search through jars, wallets, and old collections, hoping to spot the elusive 1979-era coins. They are treasures hiding in plain sight, ordinary looking yet potentially extraordinary in value. And that's the incredible appeal of this coin, a tiny copper piece, easily overlooked, that might just be the key to a life-changing discovery. So the next time you see a 1979 2 pence, remember its story. From the vast minting presses of the Royal Mint to the rare and valuable errors that slipped through unnoticed, it remains one of the most exciting coins of its era. And who knows, your coin might be the one that turns out to be worth not just hundreds, not just thousands, but perhaps even millions of dollars. Eisenhower on the front, the Liberty Bell and the moon on the back, and think it's nothing special. But here's the shocking truth: some of these coins are worth not just a few dollars, not even just a few hundred, but thousands, tens of thousands, and in rare cases even hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. These are the rare era coins that slipped through the Denver Mint in 1976, and they are treasures hiding in plain sight. The coin itself was part of America's bicentennial celebration, struck with the dual date 1776 to 1976. Millions rolled off the Denver presses with the D mint mark, most of them ordinary and worth little more than face value today. But not all of them came out perfect. Some carried dramatic minting errors, mistakes that make them unique, and in the world of coin collecting, uniqueness means value. One of the most incredible types of errors found on the 1976 D Eisenhower dollar is the wrong planchet strike. Imagine the massive design of Eisenhower and the Liberty Bell struck onto a smaller planchet meant for a quarter, or even onto a silver planchet meant for a collector issue. The design wouldn't fit correctly, the coin would weigh differently, and the result is a one-of-a-kind rarity. Coins like this have sold for tens of thousands of dollars, and the most spectacular examples could bring in well over $100,000 at auction. Another category of error is the off-center strike. These happen when the blank planchet wasn't aligned correctly in the press, so the dies hit it off balance. The result is a coin with part of the design missing, often leaving a large blank crescent on one side. Collectors love these errors, especially when the misalignment is dramatic. A normal off-center coin might bring a few $100s, but a dramatic bicentennial Eisenhower dollar off-center strike could sell for $5,000 or more, depending on the condition. There are also double die varieties where parts of the design, such as the lettering of Liberty for the details of the Liberty Bell, appear to be doubled. These coins are eye-catching and extremely desirable. Collectors compete fiercely for strong double dies, and prices can reach into the thousands. Some examples have been known to climb into the $10,000 range when the doubling is bold and the coin is in pristine condition. And then we come to the most jaw-dropping of all, the transitional and silver-clad errors. During the bicentennial years, some Eisenhower dollars were struck in 40% silver for collector sets. On rare occasions, coins intended for circulation were struck on silver planchets, or coins intended for silver sets were struck with the wrong dies. These mistakes are incredibly rare and enormously valuable. A single authenticated transitional or silver planchet error can sell for 6 figures. Imagine a bidding war at a major auction where two collectors drive the price past $100,000, past $200,000, even approaching $500,000 or more. For a coin that looks ordinary at first glance, the potential value is staggering. Think about the circumstances. The Denver Mint in 1976 was running around the clock, producing millions of coins for America's 200th birthday celebration. With the pressure of huge mintages, mistakes were inevitable. Wrong blanks slipped into the presses, misalignments went unnoticed, double dies were missed, and those flawed coins entered circulation alongside the ordinary ones. For decades, they've been sitting quietly in collections, coin jars, and dresser drawers, waiting for someone sharp-eyed to realize what they've found. The value of these error coins comes down to 3 things: rarity, condition, and demand. They weren't supposed to exist, which makes them rare. If they survived without much wear, that makes them even more desirable. And because the bicentennial design is one of the most beloved in US coinage, the demand for them is always strong. Put those three factors together, and you get coins that can sell for life-changing sums of money. That's why collectors today are still hunting for them. Imagine the thrill of picking up a 1976 D. Eisenhower dollar at a flea market or finding one in a relative's collection and realizing it's not just a dollar coin. It's a $10,000 coin, or a $50,000 coin, or maybe even a $500,000 coin. That's what makes this hobby so exciting. The possibility is real, and stories of rare Eisenhower dollar errors selling for shocking prices are growing every year as more people take an interest in them. So the next time you see a 1976 D. Eisenhower dollar, don't dismiss it as common. Hold it up to the light. Check the lettering for doubling. Look closely at the strike to see if it's centered. Weigh it to make sure it matches the standard weight. If it's heavier or lighter, it could be on the wrong planchette. Any of these details could mean the difference between a $1 coin and a once-in-a-lifetime treasure.